Hey, Jelissa Mukoko.
Hi, Sandrine,
Thanks for accepting our invitation to this program.
and thank you for having me here.
So you came all the way from Buea. How
Yeah.
was your trip?
Well, my trip was good, a little bit tiring, but still good.
So would you mind telling our televiewers and listeners who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Mukoko Jelissa and I am a UI and UX designer. And I'm also a graphic designer, web designer with a business background. And let me say, I would like to categorize myself as a multidisciplinary designer.
So of all the roles you hold, you're a graphic designer,
Yeah.
webmaster, because you even forgot some. You do a lot of things when it comes to digital. Today, we'll be talking about you as a UI and UX designer. That is, how do you call it?
A user interface and user experience
designer.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have to describe these two things, how would you do?
So basically, UI is just an abbreviation of user interface and UX abbreviation of user experience. And that has to do with designing the visual and the experience of a product or a project, something that we as humans are going to physically interact with. So that's just a summary of what UI and UX is all about.
So that's just a summary. Coming all the way from web designer, that's the course you followed at the Buea
Yes.
Institute Technology.
Yes.
When did you decide to take up this new path?
Well, UI and UX was something I came across just because of the works and the projects I was already handling. So I was doing web design, graphic design, and a client came for a UI project, and that was when I was opportune to jump on the UI and UX design field.
When was that?
Let me say that was last year. Last year. Well, last year, let's 2020. Late 2020, yes.
So about 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, yes.
How long did it take for you to master UX and UI design?
Well, it did not take me really long, and that's just because I already had a background in graphic design and web design. And UX design is kind of a combination of the two. So let me say UX design is like putting yourself in the shoes of the user, and UI is the interface, and graphic design has to do with the visual part of designing. Yes, so it was just like a combination of it, and it made it easy for me to transition from graphic web design to UX design. So I don't want to really estimate because it will be a little bit complicated, but let me just say a few weeks. Yes, a few weeks will be fine, because normally it will take longer for somebody who doesn't have a background in graphic or web design to study and to become a professional UX designer.
But that's something particular about Jelissa Mukoko. You learn a lot of things alone, and you do it in a very short while, because maybe our televiewers and listeners don't know, but even the web design you learned at the Buea Institute of Technology, you did it in 2 months.
Yes, I did.
It's a 3-month course, but you
3-month
came
course.
1 month later and you did great.
Yes, I did, and I was very opportune to have classmates and teachers that were very motivational, and they helped me to learn very fast. And from there, I had to take the National Diploma examination, and I did, let me say, quite well, and I was happy with that because it helped me to make a career of what I am today.
Where did you come from before deciding to get into digital?
Well, my story is a little bit long, but I would just like to summarize it. So from an arts background in high school to accounting in the university, then web design after the university.
So during the training, for even if it's a self-made training, autodidact training for this UI and UX design, what were the biggest challenges you faced during the few weeks, as you said, you learned it?
Okay, so the biggest challenge I would like to say is just working on my very first project. And like with any career, when you're working the first time, you always have this challenge because you don't have like a full background or full experience in the field. So I had a very limited period of time to acquire the necessary skills to be able to apply it to the project. So that was the main challenge, and I had to sacrifice some nights to go on YouTube or to find some courses that could help me to get those skills that I could use on that particular project.
What pushes you to like sacrifice a lot when you want to learn something?
Well, I would like to say that it's passion. And I know that not many people have the opportunity to do something that they're passionate about because of certain circumstances. but I'm blessed to be able to work in something that I'm passionate about, where even if I don't get to receive as much payments or I don't have like full night's sleep, I'm still happy because I also make the clients and the users happy, especially when working in the UX field. You work on products that people will actually get to interact with, and that makes it something that is really motivational for me.
So you're driven by passion.
Passion, exactly.
Are there some people around you who push you through this passion? Like even when you're very passionate, you need to have people on who you can lean. Maybe when you want to be discouraged, are there people who accompanied you?
Oh, definitely. I've had people who have been really, really motivating, people who have supported me throughout this journey from the day I started, because I was actually making a full switch from accounting to the tech industry. So it was a very difficult and complicated thing for me. I had my twin sister, I had my little sister, my father, my mother, I had friends, I had my when I started working, I worked at Jungle Hub, so I had, let me say, a mentor who actually helped me and pushed me to. So the times that I was going through difficult times that when you work through the night and you think that you're going to get paid and you don't get paid, you're frustrated, you feel depressed, like you start thinking like, why did I take this? I had my twin sister who was always standing by my side and pushing me and saying, Jelissa, this is what you decided to do. You're passionate about this, just continue, and thank God for that, because I cannot forget God Almighty, because He's the one who actually made me who I am today and has helped me to become what I am today.
Your twin sister, who is like your best friend? Yeah,
she's not like my best friend, she's my best friend. Okay. She's actually my best friend, yes. So Vanessa, I really, really love her. She has always been by my side through thick and thin. So
how does she feel about you today when she sees you realizing your dreams?
Oh my, she's so proud. Like, she's the one always saying, she says the sky is my starting point. She's like, Jelissa, can you believe that this is what you were complaining to me about in the night? Like, people are not paying you and stuff. And look at where you are today. And she says that this is just something that is just going to open doors for me and for other girls, young girls, that also want to become a part of the tech industry.
So talking about girls in the tech industry, women make up 53.5% of the design workforce, according to a research conducted by IGA and Google. It's one of the few fields in the technology industry with a strong female representation. How does this figure inspire you as a female designer?
Wow, so from that figure, let me first see. The technology field is a male-dominant field, and that figure is actually something that is positive, because it shows that many females are already part of the tech industry. But IGA is an American Institute of Graphic Arts, and I would like to believe that that statistics is for the globe, or maybe the American society particularly. But now, if you narrow
it's for the globe.
For the globe, right? Okay. So if you narrow it down to the African setting, I don't think it's going to be the same. Women are still trying, and young girls are still trying to get into the tech industry.
This is only for designers.
Just for designers, yes.
So they said women, 53% of women are into design.
Yeah, so I'm getting there.
Okay.
So design is just a small part of the tech industry. So that's what I'm saying, that is a positive number. And in the African setting, I don't think that same figure could still apply in the African setting. But it's still an encouraging factor. That it just goes to show that women in general need to take part in the tech industry, because design is just one. There is information technology specialists, there's cybersecurity specialists, web developers, software developers, and we all can partake in the industry because we want to use innovative technology, but we can also be part of that innovative technology to produce things that are going to make life easy for us. So design is just one, which is good, but I feel like there are still so many parts of the tech industry that women need to get into.
Why do you think women are more represented into design? Is it easier? Or is it female?
Okay, voila, yes, you've just said it. So design is, let me say, it's something like a female thing. Like we love the beauty, we love everything that has to do with design, whether it's interior design, anything that has to do with design. So I think it's more pulling, it's more attractive to women in general. But since the other part is more tech, we can say that it's something which is more for men, but it's a very, very negative notion in general. And I feel like also when we are growing up, we also see design as something that is for women. And design translates design so technology, decoration and everything, yes. But I think that's also a problem. I think it's also from the upbringing, yes.
So how many projects have you worked on since you started with UI and UX design?
I really can't say the exact amount, but let me just estimate. Let me say like 35 plus projects.
That's a lot.
Yes, and that has to do with websites, web applications, mobile applications, and software.
Which one was the most challenging?
Yeah, the most challenging was the first project.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, the first project, it was actually a very big project, and I had to work on the web, the website itself. I had to work on dashboards for the administrator and for the user, and those are concepts that I wasn't very familiar with. So I had to do a lot of research, because basically UX has kind of a different procedure from graphic design, because you have to consider the user. You need to put yourself in the psychology of the user, how the user is going to feel when interacting with the product, or how the user is going to think through interacting with the product. So those are things I had to really learn, and I had to do that in a very short period of time. So that was kind of challenging, but I was happy for that because it has helped me. And the thing with UX is that it is a constant learning process. Like, you will never say you have become a pro and you don't need to learn anything. So many things are going to change. You need to learn new skills, and that's the good thing about UX design. At least I see it as a good thing about UX design.
So before learning UX design, do you need any requirements before learning it alone as you did? Or anyone can just come from anywhere and learn?
Oh, yes, anybody can learn, anybody can become a UX designer. Even if you're thinking of switching careers, you can still become a UX designer. If you are in school, if you are unemployed or job seeker, you can become a UX designer. You just need to learn from scratch. That's just it.
All alone?
No, you don't have to learn all alone. Self-taught, definitely. That's just one way. There are different ways. You can go through a higher institute. You can go online and find free courses, or you can find paid courses. There are Google certifications out there for UX designers, so that's another way to do that. So there are different ways. It just depends on how dedicated you are and the time to, because if you don't have the time to learn, then that will be really difficult for you.
What is the main difference between UI and UX design?
Okay, so like the name states, UI is the user interface, UX is the user experience. So basically, when you hear UI and UX, you will feel that it's just related to the digital media, like mobile phones, mobile applications, or websites. But it cuts across different industries. Like sitting on a chair, you think about the UI, how the chair looks, the experience, how do you feel when you sit on the chair? Okay, let me use an example of an office chair. People sit in the office, let me say like 8 hours plus, and they need an office chair that is comfortable. But inside those office chairs, there are also ergonomic chairs that are adjustable, that will help you to reduce maybe back pain, that are adjustable for your lumbar and for your neck, help you with your posture. So you think about the experience. Who are those who are going to use the chair? For example, you cannot take a dining chair and sit in the office for 8 hours because you are going to feel comfortable. But a chair that is made for the office, like an ergonomic chair, is going to make you feel comfortable throughout the day. So the people thinking about designers' chairs thought about how users will feel when sitting there on the chairs. So that's just what UI and UX is about. So now, if we want to talk about the mobile applications or the web applications, you now look at the layout of the website, the colors you're going to use, the font typography you're going to use, the icons you're going to use. That has to do with the user interface. And that's just the visual part. And experience is basically thinking of how the user will feel. Psychology, as a designer, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the user. How are they going to feel when they interact with this product? How are they going to go through, for example, if you want to, let's take an example of an e-commerce application. The goal is usually to buy something. So how will you do if I go to this application? I have to search through a number of products. Can I filter the results to find exactly what I want? Is the buy button easily accessible? And in fact, general goal for any UI and UX project is to make something that is easily consumable for the end users. Yeah.
So before putting the project to place, when you work on user experience, what's the process? Do you go to meet the users to know exactly what they want, or you just ask yourself what you would like if you were a user?
Okay, so now I would like to link these particular questions to the kind of UX designers. So now we have the in-house designers, we have the agency designers, and we have the freelance designers. So now for an in-house designer, you work for a particular company. It could be like for MCN or for Cartel, you just work on their design. For an agency designer, you get to work on several projects. And for a freelancer, you get to work on several projects. But the difference is you're the one handling everything from the business, the design, and everything that is considered there. So it's just going to depend
On whether you're a freelancer or an employee?
Yes, it would depend, because if you're an employee, you're working in an agency, you might have several designers that will handle the different processes, so you will not have to do everything by yourself. If you're a freelancer, you will have to handle everything, like maybe talking to the users of the product, or maybe doing some online research. If you're working for, let me say, you're an in-house designer, you don't have to really stress because they already have research on who the users are, and they already have different teams.
I see.
Yes, different users. Oh.
Okay, so which one do you prefer between UI and UX design? The preference, does it come from the fact that it's easier, or is just that you're more passionate about the one you're going to choose?
Well, I cannot say I prefer one to the other, because UI and UX are like a combination. And like I said, in other agencies, you might have somebody who's going to handle UI, somebody who will handle UX. But as a freelancer, in fact, I'm generally an empathetic person. I like to put myself in the shoes of somebody, and that's where user experience comes from. So that one just makes me in love with UX, and UI is the beauty. I love to see how things come out, the physical, everything comes out. So I cannot choose, I definitely cannot choose between UI and UX. I just love the both, the two of them.
Okay, so how would you convince a client about the importance of a UI or UX designer in the development of their platform?
So first, you need to think, are you designing for yourself or for users? And if you're designing for the users, as a UX designer, you already have an idea of how users think. Those are people who already know how users are going to think or use your product. So if you're designing for yourself, then you can sit by yourself and design everything, and just be sure that not everybody is going to consume that particular product. But as a professional, you already know that this person has experience in this field, and the person knows exactly what your users are going to need. So it's very important for you to get somebody who's already experienced in the field to help you through realizing your projects.
So that's how you convince a client when you want him to implicate this profile into the team that is going to build his platform?
Well, that's just one, because for example, if I'm working as a freelancer, I'm the one who has to do the convincing, and this is just what I'm going to use. And I also have a portfolio of my work. Yes, because that's, in fact, that's very important, because people will want to hire somebody who already has experience, so they want to see what you have already done. So that's another non-verbal way of convincing a client. But if you're working for an agency, then you don't have to do the convincing, because you're just one person in the whole team. The leader or the project leader is the one who's going to, or the leader of the team or department is the one who's going to talk to the client to convince the clients. So these are skills that you actually have to learn and develop throughout as a professional, especially if you're a freelancer. So I'm just talking because I am a freelancer. Yes.
So when you work with clients, do you have the feeling that they are they are digitally matured already to understand the importance of this kind of profile?
Well, still, I would like to narrow it down to me as a freelancer. So it depends. I don't really get to work, let me say, depends on how you categorize clients, because clients could be the tech companies you work with. So since I work with the tech companies, I really don't have very much issue. Yes, I don't really have that issue. But as a graphic designer, I had the issue because many people don't understand. They don't understand what it entails to come up with a design, and it's a little bit difficult trying to convince them that this is going to take some time, or this requires a certain skill. Yes.
So, for which design are you most asked?
Let me see. Right now, it will be the UI and UX, because that's what I'm focusing on.
You do a lot of that?
Yes, right now. But
compared to graphic and web design?
Yes, right now. But as compared to that, because before I really do not have UI projects, and especially when people know that you are good in the field, they will always want to come to you for some work. Yes, so let me say UI and UX.
So I guess listeners and viewers listening to you will maybe they'll discover that they have a passion about this profession you're talking about. So what tips would you give them if they want to learn for themselves like you?
Okay, first, I think you need to first of all decide if you really want to become a UX designer. And how do you do that? You need to go online. You need to do some research. You need to talk to people who are already in the field to get their experience, to understand if that is what you really want to do. You need to be able to manage your time, depending on where you work. If you're a freelancer, you need to learn how to manage your time. Also, you need to make money, motivation, not the focus, because many people will get into the field saying that I heard that this person is a UX designer, this person makes a lot of money, I want to also join because I want to make this amount of money. That is a very wrong direction, because there are times that you will not be able to make any money and it can lead you to drop the career. Not because you don't have the skill, but because money was your focus rather than the motivation. And the next thing is that the design field is filled with a lot of critics, people who have experience in the field and not. And you need to take most of that as constructive, not as negative, because if you take it personal, then honestly, it will be difficult for you to survive, because every design, you can spend hours and days to work on something and somebody will see that what you have done is not what you are looking for. And if you take that as personal, then it's really going to be a difficult journey for you, but you need to take everything and turn it into something positive. Even if the person gave a negative criticism, you just need to pick out some of the things that you feel you can apply to improving your skill in that particular area.
And that's what you did to get where you are today.
Exactly. And the next thing is to find a mentor, have a mentor. It doesn't have to be physical, somebody that you have to go to physically. It could still be virtual. You can talk to the person, because those people already have experience in the field, and you don't need to go through the same stress they went through if you already have somebody who can guide you through that. So you need to have somebody who's going to guide you through your journey of becoming a UX designer. And finally, don't compare yourself to established or professionals, because it can be very discouraging sometimes, because you say you've worked on a design, you've learned this for 6 months, and you say that, oh, my design is not as good as this person. No, like, the professional should be somebody who should inspire you, the designer should inspire you, but it should not actually make you to feel like you are less than what you're already, or what you could be in the future. Those people also started from somewhere where you are right now, and they got to the professionals they are right now. So you should use that as an inspiring factor, not as something that is going to make you depressed or discouraged because you feel like your design is not up to what they are already doing.
And Jelissa Mukoko is very much open to become somebody's mentor, and you can find her on econuma.com, the platform on which you're watching this program right now. Okay, so Jelissa, what should you avoid mainly when you want to practice this profession? When learning, what should you avoid to have efficient training?
Well, I think I already kind of answered that, and the main thing is that you should avoid taking criticisms personal, making money your focus rather than your motivation, and comparing yourself to other experiences.
Yeah, you said that already. Yeah. So what, in your opinion, what are the criteria of a good UX and UI designer? Okay, so a good UI and UX designer needs to be able to carry out research. It's a very important skill you need to work on. You should be able to develop soft skills such as communication, empathy, and teamwork, because even as a freelancer, you feel like you don't need to work with somebody, but you end up working in a team. Because when you work on a design, you need to deliver the assets to the developers, and it's always going to be something that's going to be constant. And let me see, I don't know if I've missed something, but I think those are the main things that you need to become a good designer. There's so many things that you need to, and the next thing you need to learn, you should have the ability to learn new technology and new skills, because the technology world is always evolving, and things that you see today will not be the same tomorrow, or they might have been improved on. So you don't want to be the same designer today, the same designer in 5 years to come. You need to always learn how to adapt to new technology. There's going to be new design tools that will make life easy for you. So you always need to have that ability to acquire new skills, learn new technology, be open to learning, because it is a field that is constantly changing. Trends are changing, so many things are changing. So you don't need to remain the same. Talking about tools, is it easy for you having access to the tools you use for web design, UX design, and all the designs you do?
Well, let me say in Cameroon, I don't want to speak for Africa, but in Cameroon, there are some tools that are actually good. We have something like Adobe XD. We have the Adobe products in general, let me speak, Photoshop, Illustrator. XD is mainly for UX design. We have Figma, and they have free options, but in order to have like the full potentials, have access to the full features, you need to pay, and that can be a little bit difficult to acquire. So really, it's not that easy. But if you're a beginner, you're starting out, you can still make use of the free versions. Then if you start making money, then you can now try to pay to get the full version of applications.
How are the ones difficult to acquire? Difficult? How difficult are they?
Um, for the generally with
Yeah.
you need access to credit cards. That's just one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and not everybody has access to credit card. But even though some people have been providing solutions for virtual cards, which makes it kind of easy.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is especially if you want to work with Adobe XD. It's I don't know. It's kind of a limitation. Makes it kind of difficult for us to buy the software online. So we need to go through a certain company, and which is not really easy. For example, you go to a company in South Africa to acquire the product. Maybe the solution you could have somebody out of the country who could buy it for you in your name, but that is really a difficult process.
What does it? Where does it come from? That difficulty? Why can't you buy from Cameroon? Any idea?
I would like to believe that it's the company that has answers to that, but it's just difficult. We just make use of the products, but even though some people have complained, because I've gone online and seen some of the people have been complaining, writing some, asking some questions, but we're still looking forward to the day that we're going to make it accessible to us.
So working in the field that you need energy, electric energy to do everything, during the lockdown in Buea, how did you manage to continue working and earning money?
The lockdown. Well, as a freelancer.
And today, I think, sorry for stopping you. Today, you still face the problem of light season of electric.
Oh yes.
How do you do?
Well, right now it's just so first of all have a good computer with a good battery lifespan. So when it's out, you can use it, but still not enough. If you have access to people with generators, you could go and use them, or inverters, you could go and make use of that. But it's still very complicated because I can find it a little bit better because I'm a freelancer, so I can work from anywhere. But for people who work in agencies, if they have access to generators, then it still works.
So for a freelancer, it's very difficult because you have to go where you can.
Yes, you need to find some, except you have the system in your house, but you need to go maybe to a hub that has a generator, or you go to a friend's house, or you go to another company that has the backup. Yes.
So what are the challenges you face working as a UI and UX designer apart from that?
Well, working as a UI and UX designer, let me say the first would be the financial. And that's because when you work, you obviously expect people to pay you on time, but sometimes you have to wait for a while for people to pay you. In fact, I would like to feel like that's the main challenge in general with design. And in general, let me say, I'm speaking for myself, in design, graphic design, you have to be patient and you have to wait for the clients to be able to pay you, because there are times that you expect payment like immediately or done, but unfortunately they might not have the money, or you have to wait for them to complete the whole project before you get your payment. And so one is the financial, and that is just for UX design. And I don't want to make it a little bit biased, but let's go to graphic design. Graphic design, where you deal with people like individuals, it's even more complicated because you're dealing with people. Some people don't understand the work you do, and if you say, for example, a flyer is 10,000 francs, they'll be like, 10,000 francs?
What did you do?
What did you do? I can sit on my computer for 30 minutes and come with that design. But that's not the truth, because as a designer, you're taking a lot of time to get to where you are, and you already have the experience. So you're telling them something that is based on your value, not just on the fact that you can produce this flyer in 2 hours. Somebody, other person could have taken 1 week to come up with a design. But that's the thing, some people don't understand like exactly what it entails to come up with a particular design. So that's another problem too.
So talking about the finance, what is the cost range of a UI and UX design?
That would depend on a number of factors. It would depend on the scope of the project, the number of days or time you would take on the project, the kind of company you're working for. For example, if I'm a freelancer and I want to work on a project for a startup, it will be different for working on a project for some company that is already established. And I think it's also going to take, like, did I mention, like, if you're working for an NGO, you're developing a project for an NGO or for an e-commerce. In fact, there are so many factors that come into it. So I cannot really estimate, but let me say it could range from between 30,000 to 500,000 and even more. It just depends on the kind of project you're working on and the urgency too. Like if somebody says I want a project for tomorrow, like the amount you're going to price that person will not be the same you are priced for that same project within 3 days or 1 week. Yeah, so there's so many factors to take into consideration before coming up with a cost for your next project.
So you're in Buea. How do you call Buea? The valley? The Silicon Valley. Yeah, you're in Silicon Valley.
Silicon Mountain.
Silicon Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Silicon Valley in Cameroon. So how often are you asked for this job in Buea?
Well,
are your clients in Buea only, or do you go like nationwide?
Okay, so as a freelancer, I already have certain companies I work with. So they have the projects. And when they have the projects, I get to work on the projects. So the clients can be in Cameroon or out of Cameroon. So mine is like a constant stream because I already have companies that have those projects. Yes.
So you often have something doing.
Yes, I do. I do.
So do you think that any young Cameroonian can make a living out of this job?
Yes, they can definitely make a living out of this job. So, like I mentioned, you could work for an agency that has different projects, and you could have a constant stream of income. You could work for as an in-house designer that could also make you have a constant stream of income, and you could also work as a freelancer. But that's what I say, they all have their pros and cons. So if you want to make money exclusively, you need to decide on what exactly you want to do, because as a freelancer, you can make money, but there are times that you may not be able to make money because you don't have the clients. But like I said, if you have clients, you have, for example, tech companies that always have a constant stream of projects, it will make you secure, so you know that you'll be able to make something substantial within a month and forward.
Okay, so I think in 2016 or 2017, you did a training for entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And today you've opened a little something. You're not just a freelancer. You own your own website, twinheroes.com.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
So let me say, for now, it's still a freelance company.
But it's a company.
It is a company.
Yeah.
So it's a freelance company, and there I get to work with people, and I also get to train like young girls or young guys who want to become designers or graphic designers or UI designers. Yes.
What are all the services that twinhero.com offer?
Well, Twin Hero offers a UI design, obviously,
yeah,
UX design, graphic design. We have things like logos, flyers, brochures, roll-ups, and we have motion graphics too, and we have web design, and I specialize mainly in CMS, as content management systems, coming up with websites like using CMS like WordPress.
Since when does it exist?
Let's see, the brand has changed a little bit, but from the moment I started working as a freelancer, I already had the name, the brand name, but I've just been changing and changing, but now it's stable. So let me say since 2017.
2018
years. That's why I say it's still a freelance company, because it's been there for a while.
So if you want to talk about the things that Twin Hero has done up to today in from 2017 to the 5 years of existence, what would you say? What are the achievements?
I don't know how I can categorize that, because the achievements have mainly been on my part since I've been alone, like person running everything. But I would like to feel like in the years to come, I'll be able to bring or train many young girls, particularly, I don't want to be biased, but young girls particularly, who are going to join the tech field and join the tech industry, and we can make something innovative and come up with great ideas.
You're really focused on girls. You want them to be like you?
Yes, I definitely want it. Growing up, I wish like I had that tendency of joining the tech field, being an engineer, but I feel like if they had pushed me, to develop in that field, maybe I would have been even, not that this is bad, but I would have been somewhere else more in the engineering department. So it's something that I feel like parents in general need to see that potential in children from small. You don't need to say that because I am a boy, or this is a boy, this is a girl, the boy should do engineering, the girl should do some other things. You need to discover their talent from small and build them up and push them towards, because the tech field is something that is happening, is what is occurring right now. We have so many developments, Facebook, we have cars such as Tesla, we have so many solar systems. Those are things that we all could develop, both ladies, young girls and young boys. Yes.
So, talking about that, how did your parents react when, after choosing accounting, you decided to leave that, after having a degree, you decided to leave it for your passion? How did they react?
Well, like every parent, they are a little bit skeptical at the beginning. Like, accounting is a full-blown field where you can actually make a living. Why would you want to switch? They were skeptical, but still supportive. They never ever stopped me and said, don't do this, don't do this. They definitely chip in once in a while to say, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to stick to this field? Because I don't know, and tech in general was not really popular. So, but they still stood by me and they encouraged me to do what I have to do. Yes, so they were definitely supportive.
And since you got into it, I feel you've really found your path, and you've been going from skills to skills. You want to get more and more. And recently, not recently, I think like since a year ago, you've been learning motion design.
Yes.
Where did that passion? Because every skill you get comes from something like. There is a trigger.
Yeah.
So what's the trigger for motion design?
Oh, the trigger for motion design is cartoons. I've loved cartoons, and I'm not ashamed to say it, so now I still love cartoons. I'm in love with animations in general, so that is where the passion came from. And I've always envisioned myself coming up with something like that, making objects move, developing cartoon characters that are going to laugh, that are going to frown, or in fact just anything that has to do with animation, something that's moving. I've always been interested in that. So that's why I've always wanted to like build my skill in the motion graphics department. Yeah.
So talking about near future or a more far one, what are your perspectives?
So as a UX designer first, I still look forward to learning more skills, to developing my portfolio and getting more clients like in Cameroon and out of country. And I also want to like stand in front and be like a role model for young girls who want to join the tech industry in general. Even if I am a designer, I'm just a small part of it. I want to motivate young girls to join the design field and to join the tech industry in general, and to push that negative thought, or that thought that says that technology is just for men. It's also for women, it's for everybody. So you just need to develop that mindset and try to make whatever you do your passion. Yes.
I think every young girl following this program right now will feel like, I can do it. If she did it, I can do it. So thank you for inspiring young girls already.
Thank you.
We're going to end this program on a lighter note. It's a game where you are going to tell me how you use the tools I'm going to mention. Okay. But before each time, you should tell me if the tool is for UX or UI design.
Okay.
So we're going to name 4 tools, 4 software tools to optimize your work. So first, Adobe XD.
UI and UX. And you use it to design the user interface of a website, a mobile application, and the experience. So you have plugins that you can use to think about the user journey and the user flow of any project you're working on.
Correct. Balsamiq.
Balsamiq is a wireframing tool. It just helps you to come up with wireframes, transmit your ideas, or transition your ideas from whatever you think onto something that is going to be used to develop a website or mobile application. So basically, wireframing tool.
Mockup.
Mockup is just the name for coming up with high fidelity prototypes for a website or a mobile application or whatever project you're working on, with pictures, colors, and images.
Wireframe.
Wireframe is basically a sketch of the user interface. You also have to think about the user experience and in fact coming up with the organizational structure of a website or application in general.
Yeah, you got it all correct. So Jelissa Mukoko is a UI and UX designer who came all the way from Buea for this program. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for answering all the questions correctly. And I believe you've inspired more people than you thought.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I want to believe that this is really going to be an opportunity for young girls, not just young girls, anybody who wants to join the design field, the tech industry in general. I hope that this is going to motivate you to know that you can do anything. Even if you are thinking of a career switch, everything is possible. You can still make it in the UX and generally in the tech industry. So thank you.